We're here today to announce a major indictment targeting online fraudsters and the money launderers who facilitate those scams. At some point, most Americans have been the targets of online fraud schemes. Who can forget the famous Nigerian prince scam in which the fraudster claims to have millions of dollars stuck in Nigeria and needs the victim to help get the money out of the country? Well, over the years, those fraud schemes have evolved and become much more complex and sophisticated. Nigerian fraud networks now target individuals and businesses alike through sophisticated business email compromise scams known as BEC scams, romance scams, and other online schemes. Today, we are taking a major step to disrupt these criminal networks. This morning, FBI agents, along with other federal and state law enforcement authorities, arrested a total of 14 defendants across the United States who are named in a sweeping fraud and money laundering case. Those arrested today, including 11 in the Los Angeles area, are among 80 defendants charged in a federal grand jury indictment that alleges millions of dollars were taken from victims through a variety of BEC scams, romance scams, and other online frauds.
Good day, everyone. Lots of interesting weather features to talk about. First, we'll discuss the potential for severe storms today. Storm Prediction Center has a slight risk of severe weather across southern Virginia into portions of North Carolina, as well as the Great Plains. Damaging winds, hail, maybe an isolated tornado. These systems are connected with a cold front and an area of low pressure you can see on our map here. But there's some good news to all this as well. If you'd like a taste of autumn, cooler weather, lower humidities, this is the forecast for you across the Great Lakes all the way to the New England coastline. I know we've had oppressive heat in places like Philly, as well as D.C. and New York City lately, but this weather forecast is looking very comfortable into the weekend. We'll get over a few showers today through the midday hours. I think by this evening we'll be greeted to a nice sunset, plenty of clear skies overhead, and the cooler weather. You'll definitely feel it as you head outside. It's going to push the rain a little further to the south and east as well. It'll be aided this weekend by the potential of tropical development off the southeast coastline. More on that in just one second. First, let's talk about the temperatures and the comfortable nature of this weather. You can see the shades of green settling in from the Great Lakes to the East Coast. That's what we like to see, especially if you're fans of fall like myself. Temperatures indicative of the cool down. You can see upper 70s today for Philadelphia, for New York as well. Cooling off by the end of the weekend too. Only 73 degrees on Sunday for the Big Apple. I mentioned the potential for tropical development. You can see some ominous shower and thunderstorm activity just off the southeast coast. According to the National Hurricane Center, we have a 60% probability of some sort of tropical development over the next 5 days, something we're monitoring very closely. One thing's for sure, it will kick up the surf and bring heavy rainfall to Florida as well as the coastal Carolinas. I'm CNN meteorologist Derek Van Dam from the CNN Weather Center. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Clashes between police and protesters, angry chants, arrests, scenes all too familiar in France, only this time it's not a real protest. This is the culmination of a 12-day climate activism training camp. For as little as €7 a day, participants here in the small town of Kingersheim in eastern France can learn a range of techniques, from role-playing exercises, like learning to go limp when arrested, to sewing and creating eye-catching placards.
It must be understandable by everyone very fast.
Cécile Marchand has been a driving force behind the camp for 3 years now. She says there were 300 participants when it started. Today, there are over 1,000.
The idea is more to give concrete tools to the people, like how can you interest the press? How do you coordinate direct nonviolent action? How do you train people to follow the legal part of an action?
Participants are of all ages and have come from across Europe. Environmental activism has entered a new phase of planned acts of civil disobedience. And it's camps like these that are teaching activists how to coordinate. In camps all across Europe, the Netherlands, Belgium, the UK, and in France, more and more people are learning how to passively resist police and stage peaceful protests. Now, what do the police make of it? Well, they, along with the Interior Ministry, said that they didn't want to comment. But with activists here gearing up for the G7, it'll be the police who'll be on the receiving end of their newly acquired skills. It's thanks to the permission granted by the mayor of Kingersheim that these 700 activists are able to stage this fake protest today. He says elected officials need to do more to fight the climate crisis.
I think this government is about the present and not the future. This is why I believe non-violent protest and civil disobedience can change our government's perspective and policies. I know it's not easy, but that's why we have to work together.
Critics say that these camps can radicalize activists and are a threat to the public order. Cecile disagrees.
People not fighting against climate change are threats against the public order. We do want to change the system. For that, we need to do more than just convince people. We need to put pressure on them. And to do that, we think that civil disobedience can be an important part of the strategy.
A strategy that will be put to the test when leaders from the world's 7 most developed nations are set to gather in southwest France in just under 2 weeks' time. Saskia Van Doorn, CNN, Kingersheim.